Welcome to Amy Kardashian and the Expert Show, where the experts share their knowledge, wisdom, and powerful insight to help you transform your business and personal life. I am your host, Amy Kardashian, not Kardashian. Well, on this show, I have an amazing guest from the UK. His name is Kev Orkian, and he is a comedian, artist, singer-songwriter, internationally known, and he's going to share with us a lot of wisdom. He's going to be talking to us about how to connect with different audience. And before I bring him to the stage, I want you to take this few minutes to introduce him to you. So let's take a look.
My name is Kev Orkian. I'm from Armenia. I'm gonna do Elton John, this CD version. Picking up the beep, 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 beep. CD's given. Where are you from? North London.
You are through to the next round. Well done.
I can't believe I've even gotten through to the semi-finals. I mean, it's like... In my first audition, I pretended to come out as an Armenian character. The judges and the audience really fell for my act. It was just amazing.
He's funny, he's got a great voice, he's a talented musician, everything that we want as a variety act.
The character is inspired by my mum. She is from Armenia. Everything that I portray on stage is her.
I'm very, very proud. What can I say?
Music was the first thing in my life. I started off at the age of 4 learning to play the piano. I've been a gardener, I've been a florist, window cleaner, but I never contemplated wanting to do a 9 to 5. For me, it wouldn't fulfill my dreams.
Welcome. And what's your name, please?
My name is Kev Orkian.
Where are you from, Kev?
I'm from Armenia.
Armenia.
Armenia, yes. I'm gonna do Elton John. I learned it from their CD. They have a CD. Very scratchy CD. I copy exactly the way he sing, the way he play, everything.
Kev,
so
got it.
I'm gonna do I'm Still Standing, this CD version.
The CD version. Or the CD version.
Did you think this fool could never win? Did you think this fool could never win? Did you think this fool could never win? Did you think they would look at me? I'm coming back again. I got a taste for love. Simple way if you need to know why I'm still standing, breath away. But don't you know, I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the beep, 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 beep. I'm still standing all this time. I'm still standing. Thank you. Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm from North London.
That was one of the smartest things I've seen in a long time. 100% yes.
It's a yes from me.
You are through to the next round. Well done.
So welcome to Amy Kardashian and the Expert Show. What a pleasure to have you with us here.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, before we get into the lessons that we want to share with everyone, how to connect with their audience, can you tell us a little bit about how you start to where you are today? I mean, it's amazing. You're internationally known. You go around the world. You're doing a lot of things. So can you give us a little bit of the history, how you started?
I basically, I started my piano career because it was my mother's dream. When I was 3.5, 4 years old, she put me on the piano. You need to learn, you need to learn, you need to learn, because she never had the opportunity. So I started to learn the piano, and I became addicted to it after a while. And I think that's due to the fact that my piano teacher was very good, and she really cemented the love of piano into me. So I became a pianist for many years, and then I became a concert pianist for a number of years, just touring around doing piano concerts. And then I went into the West End. I decided I didn't want to just play the piano, I wanted to perform.
I don't know why, because you are a great pianist. I mean, I haven't seen many people play the way you play. What an amazing artist you are.
It's practice.
Practice.
All it comes down to is
but
practice.
There is something more a little bit. You have to have that kind of talent. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people, they play piano. Do you have that? You cannot go out of yourself and then you just disappear in the piano.
Oh, totally, yeah.
That's how I felt.
When you play the piano, for me, I don't play, I live it. So, and I think pianists who understand what I'm saying probably do the same thing. When you sit on the piano, playing the piano is just tinkling the ivories and having a good time. But when you actually play the piano and you live playing the piano, you're actually disappearing. You're living a moment that you put as much emotion, as much feeling into that as possible. And the only way you can do that is through your fingers. So it's about muscle memory. It's about making your fingers do the work, but you put the emotions behind them.
It's kind of like you're driving from house to work or whatever. You don't even think about it. You're just driving there because you've been there so
Totally.
many times. So you don't even think about it. You put yourself.
You don't think about playing. You think more about the emotion behind what you're playing. I think that's what I like to do.
But what I like the most about you is you combined the being comedian and doing the pianos, and that's just very unique. And you could do both perfectly. So that is very unique. How you do that?
I don't know about perfectly, but I do know when I went into the West End and I started doing shows in the West End. So I did everything from Grease, Buddy Holly, Happy Days. I did all these musicals, rock and roll musicals, and I always played the comedian. And it just got to the point in my life, I suppose, more than anything else, that I decided to combine the two together because I was doing stand-up and I was, making people laugh. And then I thought, if I sit on the piano, I could probably still make people laugh. So I started practicing an idea with a friend of mine who really believed in me. And he said, I think this will be good for you. And then he gave me an opportunity to do 18 weeks in England, just performing every single night for 18 weeks. And I managed to get my muscle memory going with comedy and piano. And the rest is history.
Yeah, because in order to switch from here to here and then do both of them really well, that takes a lot of practice and talent.
Totally, yeah, you have to practice.
So your background, did you do, you were actor, you did acting as
yeah, I was an actor.
and then
I studied acting and then I went into the musicals as an actor-singer.
I could tell too, you have a beautiful voice. So what you don't have? You have everything,
Height.
right?
Height.
Height. That's on my list.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are much taller than me, but
Okay.
I'm 5'6", but I'm very different to other people, so
Well,
that's another pro for me, I think.
Well, they would love to be in your place. So now what you're doing, something about Armenian movie. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course, yeah. I'm actually 2 years ago, I teamed up with a guy called Andy, and he approached me and said, look, I'm thinking about doing a movie about Armenia, and I know you're thinking about doing some stuff as well. He said, why don't we team up? I said, okay. So we spent about a year writing, putting a project together. We discussed and everything and how we were going to do the project. And then last year, we got the funding from a great guy called Rafi, who gave us the entire income we needed. And we flew to Armenia and we basically documented 2.5 weeks of everything from the top of Armenia North down to the south. And we went east and west and we documented everything from the churches, the monasteries, the modern Tumo centers, the people, the food, everything we could have done, we did. And we did that over 2.5 weeks. And the documentary comes out actually next month.
And what's the name of it?
Armenia Uncovered.
Oh my gosh, that's a really beautiful name. And I know Armenia, it was the first country in the world to become Christian, is that correct?
To adopt Christianity.
To adopt
yeah,
Christianity.
That's right.
And then there is churches over there, like really old churches.
There are churches that are 1,600 years old.
Oh my
we went to a
gosh.
winery that was 6,100 years old. And we were inside that winery, it's the oldest in the world, by the way. And we were blessed to visit such wonderful places that people not necessarily would know about. So the oldest shoe is in Armenia. The oldest human brain is in Armenia, which belonged to I think a 14-year-old girl. So there's so many things that they've found in Armenia. And we wanted to document it all.
Yeah.
And we interviewed some incredible Armenian celebrities, everyone from Henrik Mkhitaryan, the Arsenal footballer, to Jivan Gasparyan, so the duduk player. So we interviewed a lot of people.
And is it going to be in English?
Everything's in English.
Everything in English.
Yeah.
And the reason, because the Armenians already, we know about our history, but we want to kind of introduce the world to Armenia because it's a beautiful country, have a lot of history, and we need you wanted to bring that out to the
One of the
world.
reasons, actually, one of the reasons we did the documentary was a personal reason. That was because there was a lot of documentaries that have been done over the last 20 or 30 years, even longer, that have been done on the Armenian history and certainly the Armenian 1915 genocide. And there's been a lot of documentation, whether they're books, whether they're movies, whether they're of course the movie that came out, Ararat, that came out, and of course The Promise, the movie that came out as well. It was all around that. What I wanted to do, I wanted to introduce Armenia, what it is now.
Yes, okay.
Because Armenia is modern, it's current, it's beautiful, it's vibrant, and I think part of the reason we did the documentary was to bring in tourism to the country from around the world. People who not necessarily would have known where Armenia was, and 20 years ago, if I said I'm from Armenia, they would have gone, where? Now, people are getting more and more used to the idea of, I come from Armenia. Oh, right, okay, so we know where you're from.
We know where you're from.
So it's nice. So what we wanted to do was create a documentary that would allow people to now know where Armenia is and actually know what Armenia can offer.
That's beautiful. It's amazing because you're right. Everybody, they know about the genocide and everything, but we want to introduce Armenia, the beautiful Armenia. It is, and
Now.
the history.
Of course.
And then the history comes with
You
it.
can't disappear from the history. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a history. It's a very proud history, you know, with our churches, our monuments, our people, our exports, our imports, our businesses, everything that we've ever done in Armenia is, you have to be proud. But you can't escape, and you certainly can't escape the history we have with the genocide. But what we wanted to do was tap into the history, but not make that pronounced in our documentary. We wanted more people to know what it is now.
How
The fact that
beautiful it
people
is,
can,
yeah.
people can come, they can see, you know, they can skydive, they can do paragliding, they can go over Sevanalic, which is our Lake Sevan, and they can see everything. It's just beautiful. And what I did was breathtaking.
So it is unique than any other movies has been done.
This
or
is totally
documentary.
unique
It's
to anything
unique.
that's ever been done before.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
It's totally unique. But you speak Armenian, right? So
I
the
do.
movie, it's in English, but you speak Armenian. So հայրեն գխոսիս.
Այո.
So let's say parev to everyone.
Parev, ինչպես եք։
Yeah, so it's good. It's good. I'm so happy to have that kind of movie to bring out the light of Armenia, to
Totally.
see the beauty
And we do,
of Armenia.
I do speak Armenian in the movie. I do speak Armenian to obviously some of the people that are there because
Sure.
you know they
You
don't
have to
speak English,
translate.
so you have to translate. Yeah.
Nice.
So I do speak Armenian, and there will be subtitles on the bottom where
That's
when
nice.
we do that.
That's nice. Okay, so when we come back, we're gonna share some of the wisdom that you learned throughout all this journey, becoming the who you are today. You traveled the world. I mean, you are done so much. I know you have so much wisdom to share with everyone, and I'm sure they will appreciate that.
I hope
so. When we come back, we are going to hear some really, really deep wisdom from Kavarian. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling Denim Revival.
Hate to say goodbye to your favorite jeans? Well, now you don't have to, because Denim Revival is here for you. Mail us your jeans and our professionals will fix it right up. We offer you all kinds of alteration services, including invisible repairs, let-outs, taperings, and original hemming, or even have your own custom-made jeans. Quoted the best denim repair shop by GQ, Vogue Magazine, and LA Times. Denim Revival, your search for alteration and repair ends here.
And to you it ain't pretty little thing, howdy your baby.
And we are back with Kevorkian. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
What a wonderful things you shared with us about the movie and about how you started with your piano. And I'm sure, you know, that's what Armenian mothers do, right? They
Totally.
push their kids to make sure they have talent. And, you know, wherever we travel, really, Armenian community always make the country very proud of. I know in Lebanon, when we have Armenian holidays, the whole Lebanon they shut down because they know that is majority of businesses are Armenian.
Right.
And when
okay.
we came to Lebanon, my grandparents, they were refugees. They didn't have anything. But then yet, they turned around and they became business people, and they opened a lot of stores and factories and creative. So in the holidays now, whole Lebanon, they celebrate with us.
Right, okay.
So that's I'm very proud of that.
Of course.
Always. And
of course.
I know you are. So can you share with us some of the wisdom that you learned throughout your journey and how you connect with different audience, because you travel, and we want to learn how you switch. If you're speaking in UK, it's different than US and different than France. And what is the difference? What do we need to learn from you?
Well, look, I mean, when it comes to audiences, like you've just mentioned, I think different countries, we have to take into account different countries have different cultures, different religions, different people, and different ways of life. So when you're traveling around the world, what a joke you might do in the UK might not be very funny in the US, or it might not be funny in Australia, and vice versa. So you have to adapt to every country. You can't just walk into a country and go, I'm going to do this and this is how it's going to be, because you'll fail. It won't work. You have to be adaptive, and you have to adopt other people's cultures, other people's ways, even their lingo, the way they speak, the words they say. You've got to learn that in advance. So once you get all that in your head, then the audiences become much easier to work with. So what I predominantly do is, when I'm touring around the world, if I'm going to do a show in the US, or I'm going to do a show in the UK, or Australia or South Africa, Dubai, Lebanon, wherever I am, I tend to stand at the back of the audience and I just watch them and I pick up on their energy. I'm much more, I tend to pick up on energy more than I do information that's to do with their lingo and this and that, whatever. I prefer to do it the other way. So I listen to them, and people come in, they talk, and I get a good idea of the kind of idea of what they're looking for. Energy, the way they're going to be, the style they're going to enjoy. So everything I do is based around the energy that I sense from an audience.
So you adapt to them, kind of
Totally.
like you feel like one of them.
You have to.
You have to.
You have to, because if you don't, you will be alien to what they're doing. So, so that's how I do it. So, when I'm touring in the US, I change most of my persona when it comes to material, so that it's more about here. It's more about the place. So if I said, for example, I've been touring all over the world and I've just come back from on the Eurostar, and I've come back to the UK and this and that, whatever, people here wouldn't understand that. They say, well, why are you talking about the Eurostar? This is America. So you change it. You say, well, I came on the American airline and I was hiding in the cargo and this, and you start making jokes and whatever, and people get more of an idea of who you are. So you have to adapt every single time.
It's almost like speakers, because I learned how to become speakers, and the first things they teach you, not the first things, one of the things they teach you is when you travel, they don't know what you're talking about, because you're talking about what's happening here, or the belief system here we have is totally different than the belief system somewhere else. So it's the same kind of idea. You have to learn. You have to learn their kind of, not language, but how they think.
To a certain degree, you're absolutely right. Yeah. The other thing as well is, particularly as a comedian, when you're telling jokes, you have to understand that there are certain countries that don't appreciate certain jokes, and religion is a very powerful thing. So if I was to go out and do a derogatory joke about religion, which I don't really do anyway, I don't do any of that stuff. But if a comedian was going to go out there and do a derogatory joke about a certain culture, a certain religion, he's going to fail, or she's going to fail. And I've seen that. I've actually seen a comedian walk it on stage in Dubai. He did a joke about their culture, and literally within moments, the police came and took him.
Wow.
And he was escorted off the hotel.
Wow.
So it happens. It happens. So you've got to respect.
Respect.
You've got to have that respect. If you don't have that respect, it doesn't work. And actually, you have to respect the audiences that you're performing to as well. You know, a very, very, very close friend of mine who's no longer here said to me once, whatever you do, he said, always do the same show, whether you're getting paid $200, $2,000 or $20,000, because you never know who's watching the show. And you always respect the people that are watching it. Because he said, and if you want them to laugh at you, you always insult yourself first, and then you insult them, because then they will accept you. And that's how it works.
That's beautiful. Yes, because when you insult yourself, then there is, nothing, they don't feel personally you're trying to
That's
insult
exactly what
anything
it is.
else.
Once you insult yourself, you've kind of broken that
broken
barrier.
the barrier.
Now they're going to accept you turning around and maybe joking about them. So that's how I work with my audiences. And again, with the music, I wouldn't do a classical piece of music to an audience that are in their 20s and 30s because they won't appreciate it. But what I would do is I would do an updated hip-hop number or updated number that they will really enjoy and they'll respect, and I'll make it more kind of visually exciting for them. Whereas sometimes I'll do a concert for over 50s or 60s and they'll sit there and they won't appreciate the hip-hop. They'll prefer a classical piece of music. So you've always got to adapt. You've always got to change.
So it's kind of like always about them. You put them first. It's
Totally.
about them. It's
Totally.
not
Well,
about
that's why
what you
you're there.
like. It's about them, right?
Well, you're
Okay.
there for them.
That's right, yes.
So you're there for them. And that's
Let
what it's
me
all about.
ask you a question. I'm not sure, but what is the time that you felt, and did you ever felt in any time you're performing?
Failing.
Failing, yes.
All the time. All the time. Every single time I walk on stage.
Wow, that's
See, the reason I feel that way is because the moment you say that you have achieved what you've done and that you can't do better, you'll never, ever do better. So you have
that's
to.
wisdom right there. That's wisdom.
Yeah,
yes.
you have to.
Yes.
So every time I walk on stage, the audiences, even when they give me a standing ovation, when people come up to me, they cuddle me. I had one last night. A lady came up to me after the show. She said, I've been coming to this comedy club for 20 years. She said, and you are the best I've ever seen. Now, that's great. But to me, that's one individual. Mm-hmm. If everyone in the world, all 7 billion people told me the same thing, and I believed it, that's as much as I'm ever going to be able to do in my life. What I do is I always say, that was a good show, but I can always do better. And the more you say that, and the more humble you become as you say that, the higher you will rise.
Yes.
And you'll have for me, it's not even about the financial for me. I have to support my family. This is what I do for a living. But for me, it's about the respect. And if I can conquer the respect in the business that I'm in, and people believe that every time I walk on stage, I will do a good show for them, then I'll be working and I'll be earning for the rest of my life. But if I do it just for the money and I don't really care about my audience and I'm not really too bothered about the respect and the reputation that I have, then as far as I'm concerned, it's a fail, always.
Wow, that's very powerful lesson. My father always told me, be happy, but don't be satisfied. Whatever.
Totally.
If
That's
I'm
exactly what it
learning
is.
any language or anything, push yourself to be better and better and
Always.
better. So that's that. If you just walk away with just this one thing, always, if you want to get better, that's how you're going to get better, by knowing that you need to come down and say, what can I do better next time? I always can do better than that.
But I think you have
improve.
to listen to the inner voice in you
Yes.
as well. I do think you have to listen to your inner voice. Everyone has a voice inside them, and unfortunately, a lot of people are controlled by that voice. And the voice is not there to control you. The voice is there to guide you. And if you sit back and you listen to your inside, you listen to that voice inside, that voice is restless. It's always wanting you to achieve more. But as human beings, unless we take control of our mind and we don't procrastinate and we're not lazy and we get up every morning and we think, right, we're going to achieve this goal, And if we achieve the goal, it actually fuels that voice inside us to do more. But unfortunately, nearly 99% of this world, they don't tap into that voice enough. And not a lot of people listen to it. They deafen themselves to that. So you walk around the street, you can see potential everywhere. But unless that person goes ahead and focuses and tries to achieve that, that ability, this world is a really sad place for a lot of people like that.
Well, I must say, you're not only a great comedian, pianist, singer, songwriter, actor, you are a great motivational speaker. So welcome to the
Thank you.
You will be great because you speak from the heart, and
Totally.
that is another thing you're tapping into.
Totally.
Is speaking and really helping people.
You have to.
Yeah.
I think part of our responsibility as human beings is to pay it forward. You know, it takes a long time to. You and I, you're a speaker yourself. You and I know that to become a speaker, to have the wisdom, to certainly have the experience in what you do in life, you have to go out there and do it. And if you see other people coming up in the world who are trying to achieve these goals, and you don't say anything, you let them do it on their own, then you're actually failing in yourself anyway.
Absolutely.
I think. You have to pay it forward.
Absolutely. Where can we find you? Do you have a website that followers just Google you?
Yeah,
you have
just my website, kevlive.com.
KevLive, yes.
Kevlive.com.
Nice.
And I have a Facebook page that I update regularly called Kev Orkian Official.
Yeah, and
it's all on there.
You're in Vegas now. You're having
I
a
am.
show for 4 days.
I have my show up until Saturday.
Okay.
So that's 4 days, yep. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I'm off to LA. I do a one-man show in LA. And then I go to Toronto, Montreal, and then back home. And then later in the year, I'm off to Australia.
And hopefully we'll get you back here in Vegas in 2020.
2020.
Okay.
I'm doing the biggest world tour I've ever done. I'm doing 45 cities so far, and that'll be the biggest world tour I've ever done.
Nice, nice. Well, very nice to meet you, to have you on my show. It's really a pleasure because I could already tell a lot of people gained a lot from you, more than you think. So I appreciate giving us your time and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's
Oh,
great.
you are so wonderful.
Thank you very much.
And for all of you, I encourage you to always stay focused on your purpose, because you do have a purpose in this life, and I hope everyone comes to this show, share with you something that will help you to move forward and take step forward towards really living your purpose. So I thank you for watching the show, and I'll see you on the next one.